First, they were bundled out of the AFC Championships in Qatar, and now our Ollie Roos, which are our under-23 team, have missed out on the Olympics for the second successive time. Can you believe that? So by the time 2020 comes around in Tokyo, a whole generation of players will never have had the chance to play at the Olympics. That comes after the FIFA Under-20 World Cup. Michael Bridges is here to discuss that as well. This whole thing seems like we're not really living up to the standards we set back in '06, etc. How big a deal that we've missed out on the Olympics? We just seem to be going forward in leaps and bounds, and now it's stalled on the next generation.
It's a massive deal. It's especially 2 years on the trot. Then you had the 20s World Cup missing out on. For me, what the players are lacking from going to these World Cups, you're not playing against the best players in the world, the best teams in the world, and you know you're losing out on so much player development and education, travelling away. These are the future Socceroos. You know, they need to understand and need to see what it takes to get there and be at the national level. So it's a massive loss, and it's worrying. It scares me because is it the players, is it the coaches, is it the curriculum? You've got to take this whole thing into consideration and define where the problem is and why it is.
There seemed to be like a lot of investment. We started doing really well. We made a World Cup. We're playing in the Olympics, etc. And then that investment from the FFA has not come to what we thought it was going to come to.
Definitely not, and especially on the field. I will say that the curriculum and the money that's being spent as the coaching level has just gone through the roof. And I'm talking about at senior level, grassroots level. The development of coaches has gone onto a new level, so that is understandable. The players' development, however, has seemed to have taken off in the A-League. We're seeing a lot more good players coming through in the A-League level, but when they're going overseas and they're playing at the national level, and especially at the Ollie Roos, they're just not performing against the weaker nations, and that is a scary thing, and I don't know whether that's a mental thing or what. And I mean, it still doesn't help when teams in the UK, or sorry, not the UK, in Europe, won't allow their players to come over and travel and take part in this. They pay their wages, they want them there, they don't want their players going away for a month to 2 months and missing out on what they can do at their club level. So that's a big thing for a coach as well. Is there enough players to fill in for them gaps? I don't think there is, but there should be, and that is a worrying sign.
Yeah, we pull out the coach, Aurelio Vidmar, and as you say, 7 overseas-based players weren't allowed to come back, so that probably he didn't have the talent locally to qualify, but how much blame should lay at his feet and the feet of the coaching staff based upon that rule and not having that? Do we have the cattle, or is it the coaching?
It goes back, it's a barrel of everything. Like you say, they're not getting your players. I'm the coach, I'm picking my best team. So if I get the phone call and say, oh, you can't have X, Y and Z, I'm looking at my team sheet and thinking, oh right, so now I've got to go, who else do I find? Does it fit my system? So this comes back to the system. If the coach, and we'll use Vidmar, has got the 4-3-3 because that's what they're using over here, that's what they want it to be, that's the development. If the players that I don't get from the squads, I've got to go and get other people to fill in that position, in that formation. Why can't I choose the way I want to play for them players to be in that?
So you think we've been too strict with the curriculum based on the fact that some of the players don't fit that?
I do, because then if you're told as a coach to play a certain formation and that's the way it's got to be, you're not developing as a coach, because if I go and take over Stoke City and I've got a Peter Crouch and a Sidibe and you know, say Emile Heskey's there, they're all 6'5" lads. I'm not going to play 4-3-3. I'm going to work around the system for them, and that's what coaches over here have got to understand. It's about using the assets and the tools of players that are available to fit your squad.
Do we see changes now based on this latest failure in what's been a string of failures, if you will?
You've got to think so, and I would like to think so. And the way I look at it, it's the way you do session planning, it's the way you do video analysis. I look at it, you've got to find a problem. What is the problem? I set targets, coaches set targets, teams set targets. If you don't make them targets and you don't make them goals, what do? You've got to define a problem.
Fire everyone.
Right now. You've been hanging around with Nathan Tinkler too long.
Sweep the floor, pay as much money as it takes.
You've got to define a problem. When you find the problem, why is it happening, what's it doing, and then you address it, and you design a new project, you design new targets, and you come up with new ideas. And I'm sure that's what they'll be going through now, because 2 years, not the Olympics, is not good enough.
Personally, if I don't make my targets, I just lower my targets heaps, and then I make them, and I exceed them, all of them.
Everybody can see that.
You see? Internet stuff. Okay, there you go. Talk about the Ollie Roos. And another failure, no Olympics. So we'll miss out on that when it comes to Rio in a few months' time.